Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Allah created us out of love. And Allah has instilled a tendency within us towards love because we come from Him and He is love. So if we recognize our relationship with Him, we will, of course, recognize love. But that relationship has become distant for many people. And love has lost its way in this world. And people see each other differently. They don't see each other as the same. There is this unity in existence. There is this unity among mankind. There is this unity that we were all born from one mother and father, and that we are all related. There is this unity in that we all have the same flesh. But somehow, all these incredibly self-evident things have been lost to man. Somehow, man has forgotten that all men were created equal. Man has forgotten that Allah sent 124,000 prophets into the world, and they all came with the same message. They came with the message that Allah exists, and Allah is our creator, and Allah created us in unity, and there is to be love among men. Love starts in many different ways and in many different places. Love starts with a mother and child. Love begins in a marriage. Love exists between the sheikh and the student. Love exists between humanity and the prophets. Love exists between man and God. Gratitude brings about love. And if we can maintain our gratitude, if we can maintain our understanding that everything we see, everything we know, everything we hear, everything we have, everything that we encounter has been given to us. We didn't create it. We didn't make it. We didn't put it here. Allah put all of it here. Everything that we encounter because of His love for humanity and His continuous giving towards humanity. Understanding this and knowing this, we should understand that we have an obligation to love. It is part of what we need to do. Men talk about the rules of existence and how at this time you should do this, and at that time you should do that, and on this day you should do this, and on that day you should do that. But do men say that at every moment you should love? Does man recognize that love must be maintained at all times? Without love, you can't pray. Without love, you can't meditate. Without love, you can't give respect to other people. Without love, you can't be a true human being. Yet people forget about love. So we have to make an effort to bring love into our existence. We bring into our existence through marriage and through respect for our spouse. The husband must respect the wife. The wife must respect the husband, and they must cherish and love each other. It is the springboard for their love of humanity. It is the springboard for their love of creation. It is their springboard for love in this world. We need to be able to create opportunities for love. We need to be able to see all people, no matter the differences of language, no matter the differences of race, no matter the differences of color, no matter the differences of religion. We must be able to love every single one of them. I remember the first time I met my Sheikh, Muhammad Rahim Bawa Muhaiyaddeen. I believe I was about 26 years old. And I walked into his room, and he was sitting on a bed, and a group of people were sitting on the floor, and I sat on the floor also. And he was of a different color than me. He spoke a different language than me. But I felt an immediate connection. This connection was felt not because necessarily of what I did, but of what he did. And what he did was to be completely open to whoever came in front of him, to be completely open to bringing them into himself, completely open to allowing whoever was in front of him to share his space with him. And as I got to know him more and more, and as I got to know his actions more and more, and as I got to know his qualities more and more, I began to love him more and more. And it's through the love of the Sheikh that you begin to love humanity. It is through the love of the Sheikh that you begin to love the rest of mankind. Because you see within the Sheikh the example of what true man is. You see within the Sheikh the one who has given up himself and is without need, but is constantly giving to the rest of humanity, so that man can begin to understand his true nature. There is this mirror that is held up to us by the ones who have transcended themselves. This mirror that is held up to us by the ones who've gotten beyond their own self-business, gotten beyond their own egocentric needs, gotten beyond their own constant focus on just themselves. When you interact with someone who is like that, and you spend time with someone who is like that, there is an internal change that begins to occur within us that sees things in a new way, that understands things in a new way. It has to be understood that wisdom, which is what brings all of this about, is not taught in books. It's taught through nearness. You have to be close to wisdom to gain wisdom. And when you're close to the Sheikh and his wisdom is there, there is this incredible ability that Allah has given, that when wisdom exists, it can be transferred to the ones who come in contact with it. So the Sheikh brings this wisdom into the world. Man grasps this wisdom, by being in contact with the Sheikh. So this relationship is of incredible importance. And all of us are in need of this kind of a relationship. Now, what happens is that in order for humanity to understand this, there have to be more people in the world who are within this realm. There have to be more people in this world who have looked into the eyes that have seen the truth. And then they can also become conduits for wisdom, conduits for truth, conduits for love in the world. So who am I talking about? I'm talking about each of us. Each of us has to become these conduits. Each of us has this responsibility to humanity, to make available to humanity what we have been given. And there are rules about this. It can't be forced. There's no compulsion. But what there is love. And no one shies away from love. So when you bring love into the equation, when you bring love into the situation between yourselves and others, they begin to have a kindness develop inside of themselves because of the kindness that you brought to the table, because of the kindness that you intended, because of the love that you intended. So every situation that we have to bring love. We have to bring love to our children. We have to bring love to our spouse. We have to bring love to our wives, our husbands, our acquaintances, our friends, everybody that we meet. But somehow this world has chosen to exclude large portions of humanity from their love. Different religions don't love other religions. Different colors don't love other colors. Different languages don't love other languages. When you go to the zoo, do you only go to the brown animals? Do you only go to the yellow animals? Do you only go to the spotted animals? Or do you go to all of the animals? We don't seem to have this prejudice towards animals, yet we're capable of denying entire sectors, entire continents of people because of color, because of language, because of race. In order for us to find God, we must end differences between ourselves and other people. In a house, you have to bring light to end darkness. We have to have clothing to have our modesty. And we have to have Allah's qualities to find Allah. How can you find something if you don't understand anything about it? How can you understand something if you don't know anything about it? There was a great Sufi saint around the 12th century whose name was Halaj. And Halaj said, Anal Haq. Anal Haq means I am, Haq, reality. Reality is one of the names of Allah. Now, in truth, you can't be reality unless you're also compassionate. You can't be reality unless you're also merciful. You can't be reality unless you're also peaceful. You can't be any one of the qualities without being all of the qualities. So when he said Anul Haq, he meant that he had taken on the guise of Allah's qualities. He had come into this world and he was a mercy in this world towards others. He was a compassion in this world towards others. He was a peace in this world towards others. He was here to be of service towards others. Now, each of us has our own individual life, and we have to figure out how it is we want to live this life. We have to figure out what we want to accomplish in this life. We were set here by Allah in an atmosphere that is a school to learn about his attributes. But instead, most of the world has chosen to learn about the world's attributes. So we have illusion and we have haq, and people have to make a choice. Do they want to learn illusion or do they want to learn haq? Do they want to be Anul illusion? I am illusion. Or do they understand Anul Haq? I am reality. We must learn how to learn about truth, about the truth of existence. And we learn about the truth of existence from one who understands the truth of existence. At the age of 26, I had never met anyone who I felt understood truth and who I felt could convey truth. I knew people talked as if they understood it. They talked as if they knew it, but I also knew that they didn't know and they didn't have any concept of it. So it's necessary to find someone who actually does have a concept of it. And someone had to come to Philadelphia, where I lived close to, from halfway around the world in order for me to be able to find truth. Now, it's not that easy for someone when they meet the truth to accept it. Most people have this inclination that truth has to come to them in an image that looks like themselves. That truth has to come to them in a form that looks like themselves. So when you get a form that comes to you that is entirely the opposite of who you are, that is entirely different in color, different in language, different in race, different in nationality, you go, well, how can I accept that? It's like if someone gave you a package as a present and it had orange wrapping paper, and you look at the package and the present and you say, I'm sorry, I only take presents with green wrapping paper, and you hand it back. So in order to make the leap from our own inclinations, our own understandings, our own belief systems that we hold very close at that time, to a new belief system, we have to have the courage to make the leap beyond what we understand, to make the leap beyond what we know, to make the leap beyond what we previously encountered. If we don't have that courage, then we are limited to what we know now, and we will continue to be limited to what we know now. So if we want to find truth, if we want to find our relationship with God, one of the important understandings is the unity of mankind. Yet religion tries to limit that understanding to specific groups. Religion will tell you only my religion can take you to the truth, and any other way is a way of loss. And if you accept others, you are somehow entering into a forbidden area. What's happened is, when this occurs, is that religion has taken on the egocentric ideas of individuals. I am better than. I am more than. I know more than. We must become small, and we must understand that Allah has given that same ray, that same light to each and every individual. Within each heart, there is that ray that came from God. There is that light that came from God. There was a dargah, a meeting of Sufis, and the sheikh was giving a discourse, a sohbet, and someone knocked on the door of the dargah and asked to be wanted to speak to someone. One of the dervishes got up and went to talk to him. And when he spoke to him, the man asked for a piece of bread. And the dervish said, come back later. And he went back to sit in front of the sheikh. The sheikh looked at him and said, what happened? He said, a beggar came and asked for a piece of bread. And he said, well, what did you do? He said, I told him to come back later. You were talking. He said, go into the kitchen and get him a loaf of bread. If Allah has seen willing to give this man a soul, who am I to deny this man bread? The sheikh understood. The dervish didn't understand. The dervish placed something much higher and something much lower. He didn't understand the constant need to fulfill the needs of humanity in every way possible, the constant need to fulfill that which was required by man. We have to understand that. We have to have this inherent, we have to develop this inherent kindness in us, that when we see men, we love men. If we can't do that, understand what is at the core of that. It means that you are denying the light that is in that person. You are denying the light that was given by God to that person. You are denying a portion of God that is within that person because of some teaching you may have learned, or some people that you may have run into who said, these people aren't worthy of God's light. Only such and such people are worthy of God's light. We should understand that it is truth that all men were created by God, and all men were given that ray. All men were given that form of light within them. And we have to acknowledge that. And if we can't acknowledge that, we separate ourselves from other men. That which separates us from other men also separates us from God. And this is a difficult lesson to understand, because so many paths, so many religions are constantly teaching that we have to exclude, that we have to set aside, that we can't be inclusive. We have to give up this way of thinking. And it's a very difficult thing to give it up. There is in this world flower gardens. And in these flower gardens, there are many, many flowers. And all of the flowers are of different hues and of different colors. How boring would the flower garden be if there were only one flower within it? Allah created so many different flowers, and He is so happy with the multitude of flowers that He created. And like that, we must have the flowers in our heart blossom. Our heart must blossom. And when our heart blossoms, it gives off a fragrance. And what is this fragrance that our heart gives off when it blossoms? Our heart gives off the fragrance of peace. Our heart gives off the fragrance of love. Our heart gives off the fragrance of justice. Our heart gives off the fragrance of kindness. Our heart opens up to others and welcomes them when it blossoms. The beauty of that becomes available to all people. The sun, when it shines, does it discriminate? Does it only shine on certain people? The moon, when it gives its light at night, does it discriminate? The rain, when it falls, does it discriminate? Does it only go to certain people and not to other people? These are the things that come from Allah. And the things from Allah don't discriminate. The things that come from Allah are given equally to everyone. Allah gave us the air, and the air that allows us to breathe goes to everyone. It doesn't discriminate. Why do we discriminate? What is it within us that holds back from certain people or certain ways? It isn't the natural thing. It isn't the true thing. It is what happened when Satan entered between men and created enmity within men, created hatred within men, created divisions within men, because men thought that there wasn't enough for everyone. And in order to get what they wanted, they separated themselves from others. But you know, Allah's qualities cannot be diminished. Allah's love cannot be diminished. Allah's mercy cannot be diminished. Allah's peace cannot be diminished. Allah's justice cannot be diminished. No matter how much you take, you have not diminished by an iota that which Allah has. And we need to understand that. Abundance is there. Abundance is beyond imagination. And this abundance is within the realm of the formless. This abundance is within the realm of that which cannot be measured. It's one of the interesting things about the non-elemental. It can't be measured. We can measure the elemental. We can say this box weighs this, or this refrigerator weighs this, or this car weighs this. We can measure these things, but can you measure love? Can you say how much love is contained within this heart? How much compassion is contained within this heart? How much kindness is contained within this heart? We must embrace our brethren with love. God did not create separation. Our brethren must be loved by us. Right now, in the world, there are so many divisions. And some of the things that are interesting is that there are even divisions among people who look exactly like each other and even speak close to the same language. Look at the situation in Ukraine and Russia. The main difference between Ukraine and Russia is that Ukraine isn't called Russia. And because it isn't called Russia, it makes Russia furious. So it's not about nationality. It's only about nationality. It's only about the fact that one wishes to have power over another. It isn't about race. It isn't about color. It isn't even about language. It's about the fact that one wishes to dominate another. This need to dominate runs throughout mankind. This need to dominate is one of the main obstacles in bringing about serenity in this world. Look at the world right now and look at all of the conflicts. And what are the conflicts about? They're all about the same thing, the need to dominate other people. Why is there a war in Syria? Because there is a need to dominate. Why is there a war in Lebanon? Because there is a need to dominate. Why is there a war in Libya? Because there is a need to dominate. Why are people being shot in the streets in Iran? Because there is a need to dominate. People can't leave people alone. Politics is at the root of so many problems. And anytime you have more than one person in a situation, you have politics, you have disagreements. So we, as individuals, need to begin to learn what is it that we can agree upon, as opposed to what is it that we disagree upon. Look at the situation in Pakistan right now. People are marching in the streets because they want something, and then other people in government want something else and seem to be willing to do whatever they can in order to maintain what they consider to be the appropriate status quo. The need to dominate. We need to escape from this. You know, in the animal world, the big animals eat the smaller animals. And there's always a bigger animal that can eat somebody. And at the head of this chain is usually man, who is an anathema to all animals. But we need to escape this food chain. We need to escape this world of eat and be eaten. We need to somehow separate ourselves from it, bring ourselves to a place where we are separate from this inclination that seems to drive the world. Dominate or be dominated. Dominate or be dominated. We need to escape. And where do we escape to? We escape to the sanctity of our relationship with our Lord. We escape to the sanctity of the qualities of our Lord. We escape to the place where the world can't touch us. And if we are involved with the qualities of Allah, the world can't touch us. The world can in no way harm Allah. The world can in no way touch his peace, or touch his love, or touch his mercy, or touch his compassion, or consume it. It is not consumable. It is beyond measure. It is beyond our ability to make it less. It is beyond our ability to diminish it. So let us understand that the truth exists. And the truth is, there is an equality among all of us. And if we understand that unity of equality, we can then begin our journey towards our Lord. If we reject that unity of equality, we will block our journey towards our Lord because of our inappropriate ideas, our inappropriate inclinations, and our inappropriate intentions. So we have to reorder our intentions. We have to reorder our priorities. We have to reorder our ideas about existence. And we have to conclude that all men were created by God. All men are equal. We love all men. We don't make exceptions. And through this unity, through this love, we can enter into Allah's qualities, which also are unified. And through understanding those qualities, we will understand the truth and we will become the truth. And we ask Allah, forgive us for all of our mistakes in the past. Forgive us for all the things that we've done wrong. Forgive us for all of our false ideas and set us on the straight path, the path of unity towards our Creator, the path of unity towards knowing our Lord, the path of unity to becoming a part of our Lord and returning to our Lord. From Him we came, and from Him we shall return. Jesus said, you must be born again. And that means to be born again in God's qualities, to leave the qualities of this dunya, to leave the qualities of illusion, and to find the qualities of truth, which are the qualities of God: mercy, compassion, peace, justice, the Asmaul Husna. The Asmaul Husna has to become who we are. May it be that this is what happens for each of us. May we change into that. May we change into that glory. May we change into that grace. May we change into that constant, unending, merciful, compassionate grace and purity that comes from our Lord. May it be so for each of us. Ameen, Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.